Alright, so for the final step, we need to combine the cursor with the randomly generated names and actually update our database. So I'm going to go ahead and take this work that we just did, step 4, and I'm going to move it, and we're going to bring it up here. So let's start by just pasting it, and then let's break this into its appropriate parts. So we do the work of generating two random numbers, then we do the work of capturing the first and last name based on those random numbers, and then we need to perform our update to the database table. So we're going to update owner, and we're going to set the first name equal to first name variable. We're going to set last name equal to the last name variable, where the ID equals the owner ID. And just as a reminder, owner ID comes from the fetch from our owner cursor. We take the ID and store it inside of owner ID. And then first name is our first name property, it's our string, and last name is the last name property. It's a string as well, and that's where we're fetching from those random numbers and storing into those variables using this select statement. So we generate some random numbers, we fetch some random first and last name combinations, we then update the owners table based on that owner ID, and then we fetch the next one, and we do that over and over again. So we'll go ahead and save all of that. And just to kind of give us a here's where we were and here's where we are, I'm going to select the top 20 from owners, and then down here at the end, after we deallocate the cursor, I'm going to select top 20 again. So we should end up with the same identifiers or primary keys but different names. So let's go ahead and run it, cross our fingers, and see what happens. Oh, we are outputting a lot of extra data here. So let me go ahead and stop. Let's remove that select there. That was left over from earlier. And let's go ahead and try it one more time. Alright, so it's gone through, it's executed, it took about a second, and we're returning back 40 rows, so 20 rows from the original and then 20 after the modification. So you'll notice here that the name went from Maya Williams and Mason Williams, Benjamin Taylor, Benjamin Jackson, Isabel, Mason, Charlotte, all the way through, and now it's Liam Thomas, Ava Johnson, Emma Williams, Benjamin Martin, Isabel Jones. And I'm seeing some interesting parallels that between the records previously and the new ones, which is interesting. I don't know if that's just based on how everything runs inside of SQL, but there is definitely some overlap between the new first names and the old ones. And the old ones, I'll be honest, I already ran this algorithm once and anonymized this data, but it's a really good example of using cursors to anonymize. So I don't know why there's so much correlation there, but either way, we can run it again, see if it swaps it out. There you go. So now it's a more significant change. Yeah, so basically this is what we had, this is what we get the second time through, and you notice it only takes about a second. So we're dealing with a little over 3,300 records. It's about 3,345, I believe. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't take more than a second for it to process through all those. It's generating those numbers, selecting those from the temp table, and doing all of that work. So it's some pretty fun stuff. So that's definitely a good example of utilizing cursors, doing some computational work within that cursor to get back the results that we're looking for. So cursors are definitely something you probably won't use often depending on the line of work that you're in or the type of activity you're doing. To be perfectly honest, as I was building this out, I think I could have done it even without a cursor. Would have been probably a lot of combining this random number generator into these select statements and then just doing a subquery with an update to get it to work. But this at least gives you the concept of, hey, here's a cursor and here's how we could do it with a cursor. So hopefully you enjoy this lecture. This is actually kind of the fun stuff, is this problem solving of how do you generate a solution to a problem. So not just looking at cursors, but looking at how to compute things and problem solve around what do you have in your knowns and your unknowns. All right, so that's the module for this week.